when
Yeah.
Hezbollah started. But the point is, the country was doing fine before we monkeyed with it. And
Yeah.
we monkeyed with it because they were not getting enough of the money from the oil. So
Are these two starting to wake up? The guys who helped put Donald Trump in the White House are now calling the U.S. the terrorist on the most downloaded podcast on earth. Now, let's break that down. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. It's Chabella. Let's get into it. Okay, real quick. For anyone who's been off the grid, here's where we are. The United States has been bombing Iran, not a couple of missiles. We're talking full military strike. Joe Rogan described it himself: apartment buildings, schools, and drones. Trump went on national TV on April 1st, April Fool's Day, and gave a primetime address to the nation saying the operation was nearing completion in a few weeks. Meanwhile, NBC is reporting the conflict has been going on for 6 weeks. Now, normally Trump's biggest podcast supporters, like Joe Rogan and Schultz and them, they go quiet when things get messy, or they find a way to spin it. That's been the playbook. But this week, Rogan had Theo Vaughn on the Joe Rogan Experience. And what came out of that conversation is making national headlines because these two, they didn't spin it. They went in. Now, let me start with Joe. Joe Rogan, who gave Trump one of the most influential podcast platforms of the entire 2024 election, sat with Theo and said this: I'm confused. I can't believe we went into this war. When we started bombing Iran, I was like, this can't be true. And then he goes further. He floats something that nobody expected him to say out loud. One thing in the past that leaders have used to cover up problems at home is a war. I'm not saying that's why they bombed Iran, but that would be a way to do it. Now, Joe Rogan on his own podcast just suggested that the Iran war might be a distraction. But a distraction from what? The Epstein files? Well, here's what he's clocking. Trump's name appears more than 38,000 times in those files. The DOJ has released over 3.5 million documents from the Epstein investigation, and the only person who has seen a prison cell is Ghislaine Maxwell. Rogan's been pressing on this for months, and he noticed something every time Epstein coverage gains traction. Something else dominates the news cycle. The ICE raids now, a war with Iran. And here's the kicker on timing. The morning after Trump's big Iran speech, he fired Attorney General Pam Bondi, the same AG being called to testify about her efforts to protect Trump's involvement in the Epstein situation. These dots are connecting themselves. But let's talk about Theo Vaughn, because this clip is going viral everywhere. And Rogan sets it up. Supposedly, they're trying to stop the terrorists. And then Theo just cuts right through it.
Topic. What do you need?
well, they're trying to supposedly they're trying to stop the terrorists.
That's crazy, though, if you're the fucking terrorist. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to stop them, fucking stand in front of the fucking mirror. And I'm sick of rich people not putting their fucking kids over in these wars. Put your honky ass kids up there. Let them go shed some fucking blood.
Especially if you're asking for it.
Especially if you're out there fucking bullshitting, dude. It makes me mad, bro. Our government is not here to help the people.
Obviously.
They've been compromised.
That's true.
So,
Y'all, Theo Vaughn, he was cooking. I ain't gonna lie. That boy was cooking. And I tend to not agree with much that he has to say about. So Theo Vaughn is from rural Louisiana. He's funny to people. He's loose. He's racy. And he talks in circles a lot. But in this moment, he was laser focused. And it hit different because of who he is in relation to Trump. This is a guy who's been to social events with Jared Kushner, who gave Trump one of the most chill, no pressure interviews of the entire 2024 campaign, who was photographed at the inauguration. So when that guy is on camera saying we might be the terrorists, you can't dismiss that as just the usual opposition. There was another exchange people are sleeping on. Theo asked Rogan, "Do you think we're going to be okay?" And Rogan said, "I hope so. Of course. I don't know. The most downloaded podcaster on the planet doesn't know if we're going to be okay." Theo also pointed out that with the war dominating every news cycle, the Epstein files have essentially disappeared from coverage. Rogan agreed. A lot of things are getting exposed right now, and people are scared because no one's getting in trouble. And this is where I'm going to give you the facts. Not everybody is giving Rogan and Theo a standing ovation for this. Well, because y'all were on the wrong side and it's kind of too late. Journalist Mehdi Hassan said on X, "These two men helped Trump and Vance get elected. I'm glad they're saying what they're saying now, but I wish they would own that." And honestly, that's absolutely a fair point. Reddit is going wild. People are saying, "You were at the inauguration. You endorsed him. You gave millions of ears and called it keeping it real. And now you're asking, do you think we're going to be okay?" There's a version of this story where Rogan and Theo are being brave for speaking out. And there's a version where people are looking at them and saying, Gaza was already happening before the election. The Epstein files were public knowledge. The Iran war had been floated in policy cycles for years. But which version is true? I think the honest answer is it can be both. People can be slow to wake up and still be right when they finally speak. But the accountability question, that's real, and it's not going away. So here's where I land. When the guys who campaign for a president are sitting on a podcast saying, "I can't believe we went to this war," and suggesting the whole thing might be a cover for a sex trafficking scandal, that's not left versus right anymore. That's bigger than politics. NBC is reporting that Trump supporters broadly feel betrayed by the Iran conflict. Not Democrats saying that. People who voted for him. They need to. Rogan said it plainly. The idea that the only way to solve problems is by dropping bombs on people is crazy. That's a crazy move in 2026. Theo Von said he'd rather walk than fuel a policy that leads to this kind of war. Real people are dying in those apartment buildings. Real American families have kids in the military right now. And the men with the loudest microphones, the ones who helped shape the political moment, are sitting on a podcast saying, "I'm confused." That should concern all of us, not because of who said it, but because of what it means. This story is moving fast, and I'm watching it close. I'll be back with more as it develops. But right now, I need to know what you think. Drop it down in the comments. Are Rogan and Theo being real, or is it a little too late? If this gave you something to think about, hit that like button. It genuinely helps the channel grow. And if you want real conversations about what's actually happening in the world, no spin, no boring lectures, subscribe. That's exactly what we do here. I'll see you in the next one. Chat with you later.